Hi, my name is Justine Park, and this is my son Ethan Park, and he's 9.5 months old now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with Marie-Paul. So I first met Marie-Paul in a yoga class that I was at. I was already, I think, 3 or 4 months pregnant. She noticed that I was there because the instructor singled me out during the class because he knew that I was pregnant and was telling me not to do this and not to do that. And she said, you know, to me, after the class was over, we were packing up our stuff, she just came up to me and said, you know, you really don't need to listen to people telling you don't do this and don't do that while you're pregnant. You really should just listen to your own body, and, you know, a lot of it is instinctual, and you will know if you're not doing something harmful for the baby, and that gave me a lot of confidence. She told me she was a childbirth hypnotherapist, and I thought that was really interesting. I think I was about in my 2nd trimester when I called her, and we set up an arrangement to meet for the first time. And during that first training, she gave me my first experience going under hypnotherapy, and she made a tape out of it, which was so useful for me during my pregnancy. You know, I was 31 years old, pregnant for the first time, and had no idea what to expect. So I wanted to do everything I possibly could to have a healthy baby, have a healthy pregnancy, and actually enjoy the experience. She really helped me with that because she addressed all the concerns and mostly fears that I was having during the pregnancy and about the delivery, which I was so afraid of because the way that our culture is and the way that we learn about how childbirth can be is basically painful. And we don't really know any other thing about it other than it's a mystery. And you see it in movies all the time. The woman with her legs apart screaming, and, you know, she disappears, and then all of a sudden the baby's out, but, you know, you're just scared. She helped me with, basically for me it was a lot of positive words and positive thoughts that really, you know, it just eased my anxiety. For me, it was a personal decision, and I had to confront my family about it every time that they saw me because they were so against it. Growing up with my father as a physician, I myself am a physician as well. I'm a dermatologist. Well, my father, he's an obstetric anesthesiologist, and he said that I should get an epidural. And I didn't want one. I don't know exactly why, but there was something in me that told me that this was not the right way for me. She helped me, give me the strength and the courage to basically believe that I could do it on my own. I feel like a lot of people in our society just accept, you know, that childbirth is so painful that you need anesthesia. I mean, it has gotten to the point where people say natural childbirth, and you still have to specify, are you talking about, you know, did you get an epidural or not? You know, people say natural childbirth and they just mean vaginal versus C-section almost. So it's just gotten really confusing, the terminology that people use. Towards the end of my pregnancy, that I was going to hire her also to be my doula. And so she would be present on the day of my birth, of Ethan's birth. And that was also a very crucial decision that I had made, because what she did was basically facilitate, you know, my transition from home to the hospital. I decided to have a hospital birth. I'm a medical doctor, and in the back of my mind, I'm always afraid of, you know, the worst possible complications. And I just didn't want to be in a situation where, I would regret, I would be fearful. And I just felt safer in the hospital, even though I at the same time wanted to control my surroundings in the hospital to the point where I basically could feel at home in the hospital. And I didn't get an IV, and I didn't get any pre-medication or anything, in my mind, knowing all the potential complications of having post-term labor and having being 6 days after my due date. I was getting pretty nervous, but luckily everything went okay. My contractions started that morning. They started at like 4:30, and I think I called Marie-Paul at about 6:30 in the morning, and they were already about 5 minutes apart at that time. And my husband was up helping me. This was probably the 10th time I'd called her, thinking that I had gone into labor. So I think she knew that it was the real thing. I actually, felt that this was it too. So she was on her way. I showered, got ready. My eyes were like rolling back into my head. I think she felt that I was needing her at the time, because I was starting to lose my focus. You are nonverbal at the time, and she really stressed that the importance of, not really talking too much at the time, which was helpful to me. She massaged my back, which was really helpful because I was having a lot of pain as he was coming down. She was really a liaison between me and my husband, who I think was a little bit scared and didn't really know how to act at the time. But his presence there was really, really important as well, because he was reassuring me that everything was going to be okay. She helped me a lot to breathe, and I read Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. That was really crucial that Marie-Paul introduced me to that book too, because some of the words in that book were forefront in my mind when he was coming out. I think after Marie-Paul evaluated me, she decided that it was time. We got in the car, went to the ER, got up to the room when they checked me for the first time. And I was 8 centimeters, and then my water broke like right after that. Our nurse midwife, she was very good. The baby's hand was very close to his head. I believe that one of his arms was up near his ear or near his head. And I think that was making him stuck. His heart rate was going down, which I was not aware of at the time, and she wanted to cut me. And Marie-Paul and I both screamed, "No!" And she had those scissors out and everything, and she was about ready to cut me with no anesthesia or anything. It was very helpful that Marie-Paul was there, and within an hour he was out. It was so fast. I felt like I was like on the front of a train that was speeding and could not turn around again. But anyway, right at that moment he popped out, healthy baby, just like this, only smaller. He was 8 pounds and 6 ounces, and I think it was 21 inches, and his Apgars were 7 and 9. So I did it. I was really happy, and he's been a great baby ever since.